Hey everybody, it's that time of month again. It is time for me to wrap up my April reading. I have a stack of amazing books to tell you about, books that I am sure you are going to want to read. So I cannot wait to tell you about them. So let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you are happy, I hope you are healthy, I hope you are safe, and of course, I hope you're reading some amazing books right now. Summer-ish has sort of hit Northern California. It's been in the 80s, it has been sunny, it has been beautiful up here. It is tank top weather, which you know I absolutely love, and I cannot complain. I've been reading a lot, I have been taking the dogs on some amazing walks, and it has just been a lovely, lovely couple of weeks. So today I'm here to tell you about the books I read in April, and let me tell you, it is another fantastic reading month for me. So I cannot wait. So get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please get these books from your local independent bookstore, and or if you're a library user, get your library to get you a copy. I actually just put the Libby app onto my iPad, and I put my little library card in there, and I'm going to try to use the Libby app a little bit more for 2021. So I'm super excited to use my library system here in Northern California. So we are going to start with a graphic novel series that was lent to me by my friend Ryan over at Read by Ryan on Instagram, and as you guys know him from the Spilling Tea Book Club, and that is Check Please, and this is volume 1 and volume 2 by Ngozi Ukazu, and this is out from First Second, which is the publisher. I'll hold that up for you, and these are absolutely adorable, absolutely adorable. So this is the story of this young man right here. He starts college at this school that is known for hockey, and he has gotten, for some reason, on the hockey team because he's an amazing skater. But he is just, effervescently himself. He's gay, he bakes pies, but he also happens to be a pretty darn good hockey player. And this is really just a story about his relationship with his team as he comes sort of in his own. There's romance, there's pie baking and baking in general. There are, of course, some more dark things that go on, but overall, this is just a charming, absolutely lovely story, and all of the characters are just fantastic, and I just loved it. It was just like so good for me to read it and feel good at the end of it all. It's very, very good. So that is Check Please, books 1 and 2. This is out from First Second Press, and this is by Ngozi Ukazu, and she did an amazing job. I highly, highly recommend those, and thank you, Ryan, for lending them to me. Next, I'm going to tell you about Early Morning Riser by Katherine Heiny. This is out from Knopf. You should get your hands on this now. Now, I have been a fan of Katherine's for quite some time. Her last book, Standard Deviation, was super charming. She's very, very funny. And I liked this book a whole lot. I really, really loved it. And so this is the story of Jane. Jane is a young woman who has moved to this tiny town in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, outside of Petoskey, if any of you know where that's at. And she has moved there to be a teacher, and she winds up falling in love with this guy named Duncan, who's sort of been around. I'll use that phrase. He sort of has a history with almost every woman in town. And she falls sort of head over heels in love with him. They start dating, and their lives start to intertwine. And then, they break up because they just can't figure out what their relation. Duncan's not the kind of guy to settle down. She wants more, so she's going to move on in her life. A tragedy occurs that sort of changes everything. And what happens is her life goes in it. She's just about to get married to someone different. This tragedy occurs. It sort of derails everything. But then her life takes a turn, and she starts to develop relationships with other people in the town, and Duncan comes back into her life in a way, and all of that sort of comes together to show her that maybe the future wasn't what she thought it was going to be, but that doesn't mean that it's not rewarding and full of love and family and friends. Now, this book does take some dark turns, some things happen, but in the end, this is a book where I just felt warm and fuzzy at the end, while laughing 100,000 times, while really caring about the characters, crying when sad things happened, just really enjoying the story that Katherine Heiny told. So that's Early Morning Riser by Katherine Heiny. This is out from Knopf, and you can get your hands on it right now. If you're a fan of Ruth Hogan, if you are a fan of Phaedra Padraic, I believe, it's that kind of writing. It's just really lovely and warm and fantastic. The next book I read was for the Newburyport Literary Festival, and you guys are going to see all of my stickies in it, because I was able to interview Phuc Tran for his memoir, Saigon, A Misfit's Memory of Great Books, Punk Rock, and the Fight to Fit In. This came out last year from Flatiron Books, and Phuc was absolutely fantastic. And this memoir deals with the sort of the first part of his life after his family has come over to America from Vietnam in 1975-ish, I believe, around the fall of Saigon. They come here, they move to a tiny town in Pennsylvania, and this is all about being sort of like the only Asian kid in town, trying to come to terms with that, dealing with bullying and racism and coming into your own. He's such a nerd, it's fantastic, but he's also a voracious, that's the word I'm looking for, voracious reader of classics. It's a great story there. He dives into the punk music world, trying to find a place for himself, which that's one of the funniest scenes in the book. Is like, he wants to be less nerdy, he wants to sort of find somewhere to fit in. He's gonna be punk, he's gonna find out about punk, and he goes to the library. And it's my favorite thing. I cannot stop thinking about it. There's really powerful discussions about being an Asian American. There's powerful discussions about the different, experiences that he has while growing up through high school. His family, there's talks about how his family raises him and his brother. And it's just really, really good. It is really, really just fascinating, funny, entertaining, and just really worth every minute. So that's Saigon, A Misfit's Memoir of Great Books, Punk Rock, and a Fight to Fit In by Phuc Tran. And Phuc also has a TED Talk that you guys can watch. I can't remember the full title. It's something in the dark side of the subjunctive. And it is really actually very good as well, so I highly recommend that as well. And he's a tattoo artist, so he has an absolute other sort of check mark in the plus category for me. Highly recommend that if you're a memoir reader. Really, really loved it. Okay, so next I decided, you know what, Russell, it's time to go in to do some fantasy, and I read The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I'm going to sneeze, I have a feeling. So if I sneeze, I apologize. Out from Orbit. This is a fantastic, fantastic start to a fantasy series. So set in sort of this deserty world, which is part of a much bigger world, which I have a feeling we're going to learn about in further books. This is the story of two women. Tareen is a soldier. She was stolen away when she was very, very little by sort of the governing country and turned into a soldier. Basically, she's treated like nonsense, and her whole job is to run this group of people just like her, doing the bidding of the government. And then we have Luca, who is the princess, who she's supposed to be queen, but she's not quite got there. Her uncle is sort of king regent, saying that she needs more time. So she comes to this tiny town where there's been all of this revolting and rebels and stuff like that, with this intention of changing and fixing this problem. But this is also the town and the place where Tareen was taken from as a child. And the book deals a lot with politics. It deals a lot with colonialism. It deals a lot with feeling alienated within your own people and how that sort of goes on. There's a bit of magic. There's a lot of rebellion, but there's some queer representation as well. And there's just a whole lot of good stuff in this book. And it is just fascinating. Now, C.L. Clarke does an amazing job of creating a world fairly easily. So you're never lost. You're never sort of complicated out of the situation. But Tareen and Luca are fascinating characters, very different sides of the coin, and their relationship when they finally sort of interact becomes very complicated. Tareen makes stupid mistakes and you're like, oh my goodness, stop doing this. But in the end, you sort of understand the whole time her intention. And I thought that was really powerful. And overall, I just was absorbed in it. I mean, this is a bit of a chunkster for me, y'all. And I read it like straight through. I thought it was really, really good. And I cannot wait to see what C.L. Clarke does next in this series. So that's The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, out now from Orbit. You can get your hands on it as we speak. And that cover is pretty fantastic too. Okay, now we are going to talk about the Spilling Tea Book Club book, and that was Hotel du Lac by Anita Brookner. Now, if you guys don't know what Spilling Tea Book Club is, it's my friend Ryan and I, we run a book club monthly where we read books by women, currently by women in the 20th century. We try to keep it diversified. We try to read some well-known books, some books you may not have heard of, and every month we do a video, and every month we host a Zoom call for everyone who wants to attend, and we talk about the book and have a discussion. And it has been absolutely fantastic. We have been reminded, thank you, David, that the June will be our 1-year anniversary. So that is really, really exciting. And we're super excited about it. But I should talk about Hotel du Lac by Anita Brookner. This is came out in 1984. It won the 1984 Booker Prize. And this is the story of a woman named Edith, who is sort of, at the beginning we know that she has sort of been banished by her friend group for some reason to this tiny hotel on Lake Geneva in Switzerland, and we don't really know what happened or why she's there. And she says she's come there to write her book. She's a writer, she writes romances, and what it becomes is sort of this introspective discussion regarding women and their place in the world when they're trying to figure out how to be themselves. There's also a lot of discussion about how men can affect the view of women, or the relationship women have with men can sort of make them make decisions at times that aren't always in their best interest, but can they sort of learn from that? Edith is an interesting character. Sometimes she's flawed, where you don't always love her, but you understand her. It's really a meditative book, and it's one of those books that you just don't stop thinking about. I don't even know if I'm doing a great job of explaining it, but what I am going to tell you is it is 100% worth the time, 100% worth the read. I struggled a little bit in the beginning, started getting into the words. Anita Brookner has quite the vocabulary. But once I was in the story and once I started talking about this book, I realized its utter genius. It is freaking brilliant. So that is Hotel du Lac by Anita Brookner. You guys, this is a classic. You can get your hands on it as we speak. Last but not least is the book that I think just came out, or it's coming out on the 14th, and that is Whereabouts by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is out from Knopf. I have to thank Knopf for sending me this early copy. Jhumpa Lahiri is brilliant. There's nothing that can be said about that. I think I've read everything she's published in fiction other than one book, which was the one that I haven't read yet. You know how in your head you're like, oh, that's easy. I haven't read The Lowland yet. I've read everything else that she's published in fiction. So Whereabouts, if you guys haven't known what Jhumpa Lahiri has been up to lately, she became fascinated with the Italian language. She learned Italian. She's been living in Italy, and she started to do translating work. So she actually translated for Europa editions here in the US, I think 3 books by Dominique Starnon. I've read the first 2. The third one is coming out, and they're all amazing. So what she did with Whereabouts is she actually wrote this book first in Italian, and then she translated it into English. And how to describe Whereabouts? So I'm going to use the word meditative twice in a row. This is the story of a narrator. She is a woman. She's sort of middle-aged. She is a teacher, and these are told in tiny vignettes, and sort of in different places in Italy where she's living, when she has interactions either with herself, with her past, with her present, where she sort of gives you these inlets into who she is, the decisions she's made, what she wants to do next, or even if she knows what she wants to do next. And she is a complicated, flawed main character in that you don't always feel sympathetic for her, but she definitely is having sort of this conversation with herself about all of the decisions that she's made, some of them good, some of them bad, and sort of how she just lives her life the way she wants to live her life. And it's really interesting. Like each section is very, very short. So you're sort of getting these blurbs, these minutes of it. This could just be me, I'm just saying this out there. It had a very Mrs. Dalloway feel to me in tone, but it also had a stylistic feel, like if you liked Jenny Olaf's Department of Speculation, or even Patricia Lockwood's new book, which I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's told in sort of like those blurby moments. This book is like that. So it's just sort of like, here, snapshots of everything, and you as the reader are allowed to put the whole story together. Does that make sense? I think she's a brilliant writer. I think she turns a phrase like really none other. And I really enjoyed this. It's definitely not what I expected. I always usually think Jhumpa Lahiri tells such a convincing story. She usually has such an engaging plot and character. But this book is really more meditative and more philosophical, more, sort of thought-provoking in that she's sort of giving you pieces and you put it all together. I hope that makes sense. I really loved it. So that's Whereabouts by Jhumpa Lahiri. I believe this is out now or soon to be out from Knopf. You can get your hands on it and read it and tell me what you think about it. So that is a stack of books. Let's see if I can hold them up here for you guys so you can see them. There you go. And all the titles are backwards, so that did nothing for you. But as always, I hope that they all make it on your TBR. If you are a return subscriber, I could not do this without you. Thank you so very, very much. If you are new to my channel, thank you. I hope that you subscribe. I hope you stick around. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye.